Hello, my name is Tony Berard, and I just invented a new game. It's called Dice Chess. One of the rewards of being a subscriber to this channel is you get to watch a creative person live creating works. It's you know how we revere, like a Beethoven and a Michelangelo because they created these great masterpieces. Well, without sounding too arrogant, my work is good. It really is. I certainly would stack, my board games up to any other masterpiece. So, including chess itself. So, anyway, this video is about a new game I invented called Dice Chess. And so you get to watch me as I create these things. Dice Chess is really nice because it gives me a lot of what Tines and Barbs gives me. Tines and Barbs, I created it without having any... I wanted to solve the problem in a pure sense, and so I didn't think about manufacturing or anything like that. So, but I think about those things now. And so I want to be able to use things that are already out there, things that people understand. Simplicity is the key. You have to have the simple things. And so, anyway, here's Dice Chess. I need to set the phone down for a moment so you can look at the board. This is my homemade board from Pythagorean Tic-Tac-Toe. I used a pair of scissors and I cut it out. Pythagorean Tic-Tac-Toe is 3 boards, and so this game is just an 8x8. And also, okay, so I got out 2 blank cubes. These are going to be for the king cubes. Although I don't have the problem solved. You can see that okay. You can't see that okay. You can see it okay here, obviously, but black on black. But it won't hopefully be much of an issue. All right. These tubs are for... excuse me. These tubs are for Pythagorean Tic-Tac-Toe. These were the dice for that game. So I cut the board out of the... I had a big board with 3 boards on it, an 8x8, a 6x6, and a 10x10. And I have those here. This is the 10x10 board, where I must have left the 6x6 board in the bag. The 6x6 board won't do us any good, but I cut it out anyway. No, that's the handwritten instructions for Pythagorean Tic-Tac-Toe. I don't see the 6x6 board. Where is it? It's not important, really. That's not it either. Oh, there it is. So here's the 6x6 board. And I had them labeled along the ranks and the files, but that's for a different game. I do have the Pythagorean Tic-Tac-Toe game on the GameCrafter site, www.thegamecrafter.com. If you search for Pythagorean Tic-Tac-Toe, you can get it. But I haven't ordered that game yet, so I haven't proofed it yet. But this game will be ordered very soon, Dice Chess. Alright, so anyway, this was my homemade set. And so I need a few black dice to show the game, and a few white dice to show the game. So these are the white dice. Alright. Now, the way this game works, similarly to Tines and Barbs, this is a game that took me 17 years to build. This game took me 1 day to build. I guess I gotta stand up. Alright, so here's the turn scale for Dice Chess. The turn scale for Tines and Barbs has 12 operations in it. This game only has 4 operations, so this is a much simpler turn scale. You can increment a die by 1 unit, and that costs 1 point. The symbol is a capital I. You can decrement a die by 1 unit, the symbol is D, and that also costs 1 point. You can capture, and that's going to take me a little bit to explain, but the capture costs 2 points, and moving a piece is 3 points, moving a die. I wrote this, each turn is 6 points, except white's first turn is restricted to 3 points to balance the game. So that's what that sheet offers. So we now know the turn scale. And so if black has a 6 here, black can move a 6 up to 6 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in any direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Anything within 6 points, 6 squares, this guy can go to. So it's almost like a queen, but if it's here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, this is too far away. So it's not really like a queen, but it's pretty close. And so let's go to our next sheet here. Any die may be incremented or decremented for 1 point. Any die may be moved in any direction up to the number of squares of its value on its face. All right, I already said those 2 things. Move must be to a vacant square only. That's because capture, well, we'll talk about capture. Capture has 2 different things. A displacement type capture is possible. So here's the first one. A displacement type capture is possible when the value of your piece is less than or equal to the capturing opposing piece. So let's talk about that. So let's say we have this. So this can move 2 squares, but to capture would cost 2 points. But the capture is only possible if this is equal to or less than that. So the 2 is too strong. So the 2 cannot capture the 1. If the 2 was here, then it's within range. But you still can't capture it because the 2 has to be less than or equal to. And so you'd have to decrement first, which costs 1 point. And then you can move for 3 and capture for 6. So 1 for the decrement, 3 for the move, which makes 4, and then capture is 2 more for the 6. So then you can remove this 1 off the board. So there's a what we would call an inverse relationship between the strength and the mobility of the pieces. So the higher the facing is, the farther it can move, but really the weaker it is, because you can't capture a 1. So you'd have to lower the mobility to make it stronger. And so there's going to be, so you don't want to bring all your dice up to values of 6, because then they become extremely weak. Yes, they're very mobile, but they're very weak. And so there's going to have to be a lot of tactics developed for this. One I thought of just earlier was, suppose you have this 4, and this is on the black side of things. You could move this 1, 2, 3, 4, and you'd be on the first 2 ranks. And then that costs 3 points to move. And then you could decrement 3 times. 1, 2, 3, and that would end your turn. But the 1 here is safe. Well, if there's any 1s here, it's not safe. Or even any 2s, because then a decrement So, but if these are 3s, then it's safe because then there's too much turn power to cause this thing to be captured. But maybe you'd move it here or something. You know what I'm saying? You could get some pieces in the enemy territory and drop their value so that they become very powerful. And so then they're much more difficult to capture. All right, let's talk about the surround. All right. So that's the displacement type of capture. There's another type of capture. A surround type of capture is possible when one or both of your dice is in the surround, either the surrounders or the surroundees. I don't know if that's a word. I made it up just for this game. So it's possible when one or both of your dice is in the surround is less than or equal to the 1 or 2 opposing dice involved in the surround. So that's what that card gives us. And so let's talk about various kinds of surround. So let's say we have a 6 and a 4 here. And we have a black 6 here. Well, for 3 points, a move could be done. And then this creates a surround. White would be the surrounders, and black would be the surroundee. But since it's black's turn and black moved, this sets up the quote-unquote surround. And so we ask, does black's value, are they less than or equal to the value of these two guys? And the answer is yes. So then these two pieces would be captured. So this is a stronger kind of capture than a chess capture. And let's say we had this. This still could go on because 6 is the same as that. But if it was white's turn and white had 1 point left, white would want to lower that. But then this still wouldn't be a problem because for 1 point, black could lower it. 3 for the move, which brings you up to 4. And then 2 more for the capture. The surround is set up and it's equal. So it still could go off. You could surround with 1 or 2 pieces. So suppose black had this. And black wanted to do a surround. Well, the total here that white has is 8. So 1, 2, 3. So that's within range. So the 3 lands there. And we add up blacks in the surround. These would be the surroundees. White would be the surrounders. And so 8 is equal to 8. So these two guys could be captured. The distance only goes up, or the surrounding only goes up to 2. You know, the ends. But more could happen. Let's see. Let's say we had this. All right, so it's black's turn. Black moves. And we've got 8 versus 4. Oh, that's too much. What happened? These should have been 4s. I must have moved it. I wasn't even paying attention. I'll have to replay the video to see what I did right there. Because in my mind, those were 4s. Alright, so 4s. Let's start this again. So black begins his turn like this. A move, which is within range, 8 versus 8. So these two guys are captured. But there's another surround that was set up also. 4 versus 6. The 4 is less than the 6. So the 6 can get removed. And let's even do one more. Let's just put this back to 4. Let's say for some reason, this will be fine. Let's say for some reason this position existed. Maybe there wasn't enough points for White to capture this, and maybe he incremented. I don't know, who knows. But let's say this was the position. Black could capture the 5 because it's within range, and this is less than that. So the capture could be done. Now the surround is set up, and the surround is set up. So in that turn, White would lose 4 pieces. So the surround is really deep. The surround also goes to the edge of the board. Suppose this was the case. The 3 could go up. The 3 is too high, but for 1 point you could decrement. And the opposite surround would be outside the board. So like the edge of the board gives you a free pinning on the other side, so to speak. And so the surround is still going on. Black would be the surrounder, White would be the surroundee, and you could capture. And this can go on for, up to 2 things being surrounded. So suppose it was Black's turn here. 1, 2, that's 3 points. And then the total of the things being surrounded is 3. The total of the surrounders is 2. So these 2 pieces would get captured. And White would still have 1 point to do something. Maybe a decrement to make this piece more powerful. And so pieces on the edge of the board can be surrounded. And so be very careful about that. And both types of capture are needed. Both types of capture are needed in this game because you could set up a defense with 1s around your cube king or your king cube. Let's put them here so you can see them easier. And let's do this. Get one more here. This would be a very powerful defense. The black king cube here and all these 1s. Because you'd have to have a 1 here to begin the attack. You can't have more powerful, or I should say more mobile pieces up here, with a 4, because they can't crash into these 1s. And so the power of the surround is that, if you get a 1 here, now this is surrounded, and that's game over right there. And so this king cube gets done. This one's also captured, but this one's not captured. If there was another one here, then it would be, because the 1 versus the 2, with the surround, the other surrounder would be the phantom here, and the other surrounder is the phantom here. The other surrounder with that one would be the phantom here. So, this would be very powerful. So the surrounding plus the displacement capture together makes it so that this type of defense is not that strong. And so the game players of this game are going to have to, figure out all these tactics. So I wrote one more card here. Let's see what we got here. A capture can be a displacement capture plus 1 or more surround captures. It is even possible to do a MCD turn. That would be move, capture, decrement, which is a turn that incorporates a displacement capture along with a decrement by that capturing piece that now allows it to meet the point requirement to do surround style capturing from that square. I already talked about that. The turn scale requirement points have been spent, so if new capturing possibility, oh no, I didn't talk about that. The turn scale requirement points have been spent, so if new capturing possibilities open up for that capturing piece, we allow it. We do not allow a decrement of a different piece to enable a surround capture unless the initial capturing piece is still involved. So what does that look like? Well, let's talk about it. Let's say we have a black one there. Let's give a 6. Let's say we had something like this. Let's say this was a 2. All right, so let's say it's white's turn. So white captures onto here like normal. 1 versus 1, it's less than or equal to. So that's okay. So the move plus the capture, that's 5 points. White still has 1 more point. But this is set up okay. These are less than these, so the capture can be made with the surround. But look at these. White still has 1 more point. If white decrements, so white can decrement to there, and now, because the capture is still involving this piece, this can be captured. So that's what those words were saying. So we've got surround on the edge of the board, and then this extra decrement thing, but it has to involve the original piece that did the first capture. Since this was a displacement capture, this is the original piece. So this decrement can occur, and it's okay to capture these two because this one is still involved in the surround. So there is an initial setup, so I'm going to pause the video for a moment to do the initial setup, and then we'll talk about it for a split second. I'll have to make a second video for this because I'm out of time. Okay, so I've got the initial setup now. So the king goes in his normal king spot, only in this game it's called the king cube. And the queen goes next to the king. All these things are equal, and so they can be turned into each other with the power of increment and decrement. And so a 6 has been put here, 5s symbolizing the rooks, and just 4-3, 4-3. And these are all 2s. So white's opening move could be E2, E4. It's my little joke for this game. Black, I missed one. Black also gets a row of 2s. 5 for the corners, 4-3, 4-3. The king cube goes in the normal king spot for chess, and a 6 goes where the queen goes. And this is the opening setup to begin this game. And so the name of this game is called Dice Chess. And I've shown the various ways you can move and capture and increment and decrement. All that's done with the turn scale. Let's see if I can get both of these in here. There we go. So there's the turn scale next to the board. So increment and decrement are 1 point each. Capture is 2 points and move is 3 points. And so white on his first turn can move this, and that opens the 5 up, to come down a ways. He'd probably only want to move it to here on the next turn. So let's say black does this. Now it's white's turn. white might do this, and then actually that's a check because that's within range, and so that might not be a great move. I don't know. We'll have to see. People are going to have to figure this thing out because this is a really deep game. 1, 2, 3, 4. I was thinking of a decrement down to 4. And there's still 2 more points. So let's increment this to 3. And we can decrement this down to a 1. Just to say we took the whole turn. And then it would be black's turn. And so it goes. So the goal of the game is to checkmate the opposing king cube or to capture it through the various methods that we discussed. And using the increment and decrement and move and capture from the turn scale at the various points listed, balancing the game, white gets 3 points on the first turn. After that, both players get 6 points for every turn. So yes, 2 pieces can be moved. So this game gives me a lot of what Tines and Barbs gives me. So I'm very pleased with this game. And it only took me 1 day to invent. It truly did. Because I already went through the trial by fire of Tines and Barbs. Anyway, that's the game. It's called Dice Chess. It should be available in a few days on thegamecrafter.com. Thank you for your time. This is Tony Berard signing off.